Tavtzadi Hey Amud Beis, 3 lines from the top at the 2 dots. Harisha into and Halbachilosa. So continue on with the chiluk between Pesach Rishon and Pesach Sheni. The Mishnah said that Pesach Rishon, when the mitzvah of eating the Korban Pesach, is Ton Halal. You recite the Halal. The Pesach Sheni does not require Halal at the time of the eating. Minar Nemile, where do we learn this out from? Amar Rabbi Yechon Mishum Rabbi Shem ben Yehoyed Tzadok. Amar Kra, the pasuk that Navi Yeshaya says, Ashir Yelachem Kilel His Kadesh Chag. That loss will be the Gula, when Rishon will bring us back from the Golos. And then we'll have a shir. The shir will be for you like the night of the Hiskadesh Chag. That the Chag, the Hiskadesh, the Chag. So we darshan Laila HaMekudesh L'Chag Ton Halal. This shir, the Halal, will be Hillel Hiskadesh Chag. When is there shir? When is there Halal? Laila HaMekudesh L'Chag Ton Halal. The night that is Mekudesh for a Chag, that's where you say Halal. But Laila in Mekudesh L'Chag and a Ton Halal. But the Laila that's not Mekudesh for a Chag, that does not have the Kedusha of a Chag, does not require Halal. So Pesach Rishon, which is in addition to bringing the Korban Pesach, is the Chag. There it's Ton Halal. But the Leil that is not Mekudesh, L'Chag, Pesach Sheni, in which we bring the Korban Pesach, but it's not Mekudesh L'Chag, does not require Shira. But both of them require halal at the time of the asiyah of the korban, when we're makar of the korban. So both of them require halal at that time. My time, what's the difference over here? Why do we say that Pesach Sheni requires halal at the time of the asiyah? You might say, we can say laila kamamayit, loy kamamayit. That the pasuk was mamayit, Laila kamamayit, Yom loy kamamayit. It's the Laila, only the Laila that is Mekudesh for a Chag. That Kalel is Kadesh Chag. Where do we say that it has to be only where it has a Kedusha of a Chag? That's the Halal of the nighttime. But the Halal of the daytime, the Korban Pesach, we're makar of it during the day, not at night. So the Halal of the daytime is not connected and dependent on the Chag. That's one pshat. V'baisema Asher Yisrael Sheichtem Pischayim V'Neitel Meslu Ve'im Ve'im Halal. Is it possible to say that they're doing this great mitzvah, the Shechting Korban Pesach, but they bring the lulav and they're not going to say Halal? Meaning when they bring the lulav on Sukkot, they say Halal. Similarly over here, they do this mitzvah, they're doing the mitzvah, the Korban Pesach. You're going to tell me they're not going to say Halal? They're doing such a great mitzvah. The Miri asks, why is it limited, the Halal, to these mitzvahs? Why don't we say Halal by all mitzvahs? So he suggests that we say it over here because these are what's performed in the Beis Hamikdash. In Sukkot, the Halal was said on all the 7 days of Sukkot. The Lulav and Esrog was also brought in the Beis Hamikdash on all the days of Sukkot. And similarly, the Korban Pesach is brought in the Beis Hamikdash. The mitzvahs that are done in the Beis Hamikdash require halal, so it's a svarim. So therefore, the Pesach Sheni does not require halal on the ichila, but it does on the asiyah. B'necholim tzli, and both cases, both Pesach Rishon and Sheni are eaten roasted, and they're eaten with matzah mor, and both cases the Deicha Shabbos. So the Gemara makes a diuk, Shabbos in Tuma loy, the Deicha Shabbos, but not Tuma. Masnisin to Deloy, Rabbi Yehuda. The Mishnah is not like Rabbi Yehuda. The Sanya we learn in the Brisa. The Brisa says Deichas Shabbos vein Deichas Tuma. That the Pesach Sheni, if Yudalit falls out on Shabbos, is Deichas Shabbos, but not Tuma. Rabbi Yehuda Omer av Deichas Tuma. He says it's also Deichas Tuma. My time is the Tanakama. Why does Tanakama say it's not Deichas Tuma? Because he says Bnei Tuma Dechisi. The reason it's brought, the reason that you have the Pesach Sheni, is because we say we don't want you to bring the Korban Pesach B'tumah. Now, if there's a Reiv Tzibur which is Tomei, then it's brought B'tumah Pesach Rishon. But otherwise, we say it's not brought B'tumah, so we're doichet for the Tumah. And now we say on Pesach Sheni, you bring in a Pesach Sheni. So now you're going to suggest, well, if he's Tomei, if the ones who are there on Pesach Sheni are Tomei, they should do Betuma. The very reason that it's being pushed off to Pesach Sheni so that it should not be done Betuma. If it was to be done Betuma, they could have done it on Pesach Rishon, which would have been preferable. The very reason that it's pushed to Pesach Sheni is because the Torah doesn't want you to do it Betuma and wants you to do it Torah. So now you're going to say in Pesach Sheni you should do Betuma? But Rabbi Yehuda says that Torah Chazra Lav L'Asayis B'Tara. He says no. The Torah made an effort and was trying to have it done B'Tara. So therefore, they said if it can't be done B'Tara Pesach Rishon, okay, let's give another opportunity, and Pesach Sheni maybe it'll be done B'Tara. But if it doesn't work out, then Seif Kol Seif, the current Pesach has to be done, so Yasa B'Tumah. Tan Rabbanon, Pesach Rishon Deichas Shabbos, it's Deichas Shabbos, Pesach Sheni Deichas Shabbos. And similarly, Pesach Sheni is Deichas Shabbos. Pesach Rishon Deichas Tumah, Pesach Sheni Deichas Tumah. They're both Deichas Tumah. Pesach Rishon Ton Lina, Pesach Sheni Ton Lina. Now similarly, Lina, that the Torah says that you don't leave the night after the bringing of the korban. You have to wait till the following day, or in some cases you have to wait even more than that. And if it's Yom Tov, you have to bring the oilus riyah. The korbanos are ton lina. So Pesach Sheni is also ton lina. This is bring down the Sifri that says that we learn out from here that all korbanos are ton lina. That this applies everywhere. We learn out from here with the binyanav that every time you bring a korban, it's ton lina. You can't return, you can't depart immediately. So all of these cases are the same between Pesach Rishon and Pesach Sheni. Now, so it says Deichas Tuma. It says Pesach Sheni is Deichet Tuma. Kimat Rabbi Yehuda. So apparently this goes like Rabbi Yehuda. Ul Rabbi Yehuda ton lina. But if it's going according to Rabbi Yehuda, is it so that Pesach Sheni is ton lina? V'atanya, when we learn the rights of Rabbi Yehuda, Omer minayla Pesach Sheni she'ein ton lina. It's not ton lina. Shenemar ufanisa b'beikeva l'achtalai lech. It says that in the morning you go back to your tents. Uksiv sheishes yomim toichol matzah is. It says also, but it says in the next pasuk, 6 days you eat matzahs. So where is this din of lina applicable? Where it's sheishes yomim toichol matzahs? Where it's Pesach Rishon, where you have a mitzvah to eat Pesach, to eat matzah the entire Pesach. That's where there's a din of lina. Shein nechel shein ton lina. But in Pesach Sheni, which doesn't have the mitzvah to eat the matzah, it's not Nachal Shisha, there's no din lina. It's only in Pesach Rishon. So how can you say we're going according to Rabbi Yehuda that it says it's Deichet Tuma, and yet over here it says we know Rabbi Yehuda holds that it's Pesach Sheni is not ton lina, and this brisa said that it is ton lina. More answers straight to Noel will leave the Rabbi Yehuda. There's two opinions of what Rabbi Yehuda holds as far as the din of lina. So there's two. I tell him I'll leave it Rabbi Yehuda. The Rishonim asked the kasha, how can you say that Pesach Sheni is not ton lina? We just learned out from the Sifri that all korbanos are ton lina. So why should the Pesach Sheni not be ton lina? So Tosfos answers because he says, but even though that's true, but the Pesach Sheni, which is only a tashlumim l'rishon, so it doesn't have that degree of severity, and therefore by the Pesach Sheni also it's not ton lina. Ramban says we're not going according to this, is not going according to that Sifri that holds all the korbanos, and therefore Pesach Sheni he holds is not ton lina. HaPesach shebal b'tumah. If Rav of Tzibur was Tomei by Pesach Rishon, it's brought B'tumah. But however, lo yochel mimena zavin v'zavas v'nides. But it cannot be eaten by these types of tumas, zavin v'zavas nides v'yoldas. None of these can be eaten from the Korban Pesach. They're not allowed. The one who's Tomei with the different types of tumah, yes, but not them. So these types of tumah, that's a tumah that's yotza halav migufay. It's something that comes from their own body. They do not eat the Korban Pesach. And if they ate it, However, if they did eat from the korban, they're potter from koros. Meaning, even though we say that they are not allowed to partake in the Pesach is come to the tumah, they can't eat from it. Meaning, when we say that the tumah is hutra b'tzibur, the Torah says if the person is tomei with the tumas mes. So we learn out that which we say that the roiv tzibur is tomei, the Pesach is brought the tumah. That's only the tumah like tumas mes. That when a person came into contact with the tumah, but not a tumah that comes from his own body. So therefore, not zova, the zova is not nidus or yoldes, they come from their own body. So therefore, they're not counted as the roiv tzibur. When we say the roiv tzibur is tomei, they're not allowed to partake from the Pesach Rishon, and they're not allowed to eat from it. But however, if they did, they're part from Kars. We'll see why in the Gemara. Rabbi Lezer pointed about Bias Mikdash, and he says similarly, even though we have the halacha is that a person who's tomei with the tumah and he comes into the Beis Hamikdash that he's chayiv kares, but for these people under these circumstances, and this circumstance, whether it's a Pesach Baba Tumah, they're parted from course. We'll see why in the Gemara. Zok the Gemara, Tan Rabban, Zavais, Nidus V'Yoldais, Shachla, Pesach Shabbat Tumah, they ate from the Pesach, that's Baba Tumah, Yachal, Iyu Chayavim, you might think that they're Chayav Kores, Talmud Laimar, Kol Torah, Yochel Bos, anyone who's Torah can eat the carbon. He eats the boss of the carbon. So the pasuk says, "L'gabi the carbon shlomim," that anyone who is a tor, he can eat the basar, but the nefesh, which is from a person who is tomei, and he eats the basar of the shlomim v'nechrasa. So we darshan as follows: the korban that's eaten by people who are tohor, that is dafka for the people who are tohor, can eat it. Therefore, we say that someone who is tomei and eats it is chayiv kares. But when it's not nechalater, meaning the case of the Pesach Hamav Tuma, it's eaten by those who are tomei. Therefore, when the tomei eats it, he's not chayiv kares. He's chayiv kares where it's eaten by the tahirim, the one who's tomei eats it chayiv kares. Where it's eaten by tmeim, the one who's tomei eats it, even though it's a zav is a chule, which cannot partake in the korban Pesach, but they're still part of kares. Rabbi Lezer Omer says, you might think that if the Zom pushed their way in and they came into the Azar, the Pesach Babatuma, in the case of Pesach Babatuma, you might think they'd be Chayev. He says, no, they're Potter. Why is that? Talmud Laimar, it says you have to send out from the Machne all these people who are Tomei with these types of Tumah. So, therefore we say, now it says in the Pasuk, it says Zoven, and it says someone who's Tomei Tumas Meis. Now in the Pesach is Balbat Tumah, the ones who are Tomei Tumas Meis are not sent out from the Machne. So when do we say that we say that the ones who are not sent out from the Machne, the ones who are Tomei the Machne, Chayiv Kares, that's when they're all sent out of the Machne. So Bizman Shetmei Meis Mishtachim Zavin Ram Mishtachim. When Tmei Meisim have to be sent out, these other types of Tumah also have to be sent out. But ain't Tmei Meis Mishtachim, ain't Zavin Ram Mishtachim. But in the Pesach Tumah, the ones who are Tomei with Tumas Meis are not sent out of the Machne. So therefore, they also don't have the Kares. And if they're not sent out, then they're not chayiv kares. Well, let's say they pushed themselves in, they went even further in, they went not into the Azora, they went all the way into the Heichal. What is it then over here? Do we say tumas Azora, nami tumas Heichal? Do we say, well, we see that someone who's Tomei, who's not allowed to be in the Azora, and nevertheless, if they push themselves into the Azora, they're potter. Similarly, we should say, therefore, the din of the Tumah is lifted, and even if they push themselves into the Heichal, they're potter. Or Delma, we say, my dishtri, my lo yishtri. Or do we say no? We only see the halacha mentioned by the Azora. By the Heichal, we don't see any specific heter, so therefore it's not mutter. Omar Rava, Omar Kroy, he says, Vishalchum min machne. It says that you sent out from the machne, min machne. Any of these tumas. I feel a mixes machne, which implies even to a portion of the machne, even mixes machne. Meaning we say not only Pashup Pshat is from the machne, but min machne from part of the machne, from part of the machne they're sent out. Therefore, what does that mean? That means even when the Tameim are in the Azara, but still, Mina Machna, from Mixas Machna, from the Heichal, they still have to be sent out. So therefore, we say Mina Machna means even Mixas Machna. Ikadam, some say another version, Amar Rav Amar Krov Yishalch Mina Machna, El Mechutz LaMachna Tishalch. It says you send it out from the machna, from outside of the machna, you send them outside of the machna. Kol heichad the Korean by el mechutz lamachna teshalchum. Wherever we apply that which it says, you send them outside the machna. That means they have to be entirely, completely out of the machna. Korean by vishalchum in a machna. There we apply vishalchum in a machna. But when they don't have to be sent out completely from the machna, then they don't have to be sent out at all. So according to this version, they don't have to be sent out from the Heichal, because they don't have to be sent out completely, they don't have to be sent out from the Azora, so they don't have to be sent out from the Heichal either. Boy, Rabbi Yosef Dachu Tmei Mesim, if the Tmeis push themselves in, V'achlo Emuri Pesach B'Tuma, and they ate the Emurim, those portions that should be burnt on the Mizbeach. It's not, those portions are normally not eaten at all, it's burnt on the Mizbeach. They're not, for the basar is eaten, but the Emurim are burnt on the Mizbeach. What about this case over here, where it's a Pesach that's Ba, the Betuma, and the Tmei Mesim went and ate from the Emurim? Do we say Midir Ishrei Tumas Basar, Ishrei Nama Tumas Emurim? Do we say, since we have, now it's an exception, it's not the norm, and there's a special heter for the Tmeim to eat the Basar, which normally they can't. But since here it's Baba Tuma, they can eat it, Ishrei Nama Tumas Emurim, do we say that the Isra of the Tuma on the Emurim also is lifted? Or do you say no? Only where we see that specifically it's mutter, there's a heter. There's a heter, but not by Emurim. We don't see a heter. Omar Rava Michti. Well, let's examine it. Tuma Emurim Mehechis Rabbi. Where do we learn out that there's kares for eating the Emurim betuma? Now, we said Emurim are not, you're not allowed to eat them regardless. But where do we learn out that there's a kares, there's a punishment for kares for someone who's tuma eating the Emurim? We learn it out, mitumas basar. We learn it out from someone who's tomei and eats the basar, the meat of the korban dachsiv asher la'Hashem. So it says that if a person who eats the basar of the shlomim, and it says asher la'Hashem v'tumas olav, and he's tomei, he gets kares. So it says asher la'Hashem, which is extra. And we learn out l'rabba says Emurim. I mean anything that is la'Hashem, any of the part of the kachim, not only the basar but the Emurim as well. So therefore, kol heichadi isla tumas basar, isla tumas Emurim. So where there's an isra, there's kares for eating the basar, there's kares for eating the Emurim. But kol heichad less tumas basar, less tumas Emurim. But when there's no kares for eating the basar, for eating the meat, there's no kares for the Emurim. Now Pesach Bal Betuma, there's no kares for the basar, there's no kares for the Emurim. Boy, Rabbi Zera, he had the following shaila: Emur Pesach Mitzrayim Heichak Terina, and Pesach Mitzrayim there was no mizbeach. So how did they perform it? Where did they burn the Emurim? Amar Le'Abai says, "Man le'man lan deloy shviskid avud." How do you know that they didn't roast it? There was no mizbeach, and maybe so they roasted all of it, including what would be the Emurim. V'oid hatan Rav Yosef, he learned shloisha mizbechos hayu sham. In Mitzrayim, there were, so to speak, 3 mizbechos, meaning there were 3 areas where the avodah was done. Ala mashkach v'al shtei mezuzas. The dam had to be applied to the mashkach and the mezuzas, but there was no mizbeach, so therefore that's where the avodah was done. V'su midiachrine lo yhava. But there was nothing else. There was no mizbeach, so they didn't have a mizbeach to be makter the Emurim. So it would seem to be that it was roasted and eaten together with the basar.